My neighbor's kid looks exactly like me. 15 years younger, I noticed it the first week they moved in. The kid next door waved at me, and it felt like I was looking into a mirror from the past. Same eyes, same crooked smile, even the same scar on the eyebrow, the one I got falling off a bike when I was 9. I tried to laugh it off. Genetics are weird. Coincidences happen. But then it got worse. The kid liked the same foods I did, hated loud noises the way I always had. One afternoon he asked me if I still kept the old red watch in a drawer. I've never told anyone about that watch. I finally asked his mom where they were from. She hesitated, just for a second, then said a town I'd never heard of. That night I dug through old boxes from my childhood. At the bottom was a photo I didn't remember taking. Me at 16, standing next to a woman I didn't recognize, holding a baby wrapped in a blue blanket. On the back, in my handwriting, were 4 words: "Promise you won't tell." The next day, the kid knocked on my door and smiled like he'd been waiting years to do it. He said, "You're not mad anymore, right?" I realized then. He didn't just look like me, he remembered me, and whatever I forgot was never supposed to come back. I finally asked his mom the question I'd been avoiding. "Who is he? Really?" She didn't deny it. She didn't explain. She just handed me a folder. Inside were medical forms, old ones, my name on every page, dates from when I was 16. That's when it hit me. I wasn't his brother. I wasn't his neighbor. I was his father. I had volunteered for a clinical trial that paid cash and promised no long-term impact. What they didn't tell me was that they froze genetic material. What they didn't tell me was that it would be used. The boy wasn't a coincidence. He wasn't a secret. He was a copy. And as I stood there shaking, he looked up at me and said, "They told me you wouldn't remember, but I remember you." Then he asked the one question that made my stomach drop. "Do you want to meet the others?" They met at a community center across town. Nothing suspicious. Just beige walls and bad coffee. That's where she took me. Inside were folders, dozens of them, all labeled with different names, but the same DNA code. Mine. She finally told me the truth. The trial wasn't about medicine. It was about replication, long-term observation, nature versus nurture. I wasn't the only donor. I was the successful one. They'd been placed with different families, different cities, different lives, all monitored quietly. Then she showed me the photos. One kid loved music. One was violent. One disappeared at 13. One was sitting in that very room staring at the floor like he already knew. "They're starting to ask questions," she said, "and they're starting to find each other." That's when I realized why the boy moved in next door. It wasn't an accident. It was a test. To see what would happen when the original finally met the copies. And as we were leaving, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It said, "We remember you." I couldn't sleep after that message. "We remember you." I kept replaying the woman's words in my head. The original. She never actually said I was him. The next morning, I went back to the community center alone. The doors were locked, but I noticed something taped behind the glass. A schedule, multiple names, multiple time slots, and next to one of them, mine. Except the handwriting was different, neater, younger. I broke into the office. I needed answers. In the file cabinet, I found my folder. Not the one I remembered. A newer one. At the top, in bold letters, it said, Subject 12. Active. Below, it was another file. Subject 01. Terminated. My hands started shaking. The dates didn't line up with my memories. Events from my childhood were marked implanted. My parents? Assigned. The red watch? Anchor object. That's when I understood why the kid next door felt familiar. He wasn't my copy. We were copies of someone else. And whoever the original was, he was gone. As I stood there, The lights in the building shut off one by one. My phone buzzed again, a new message. Subject 12 has accessed restricted information. Initiate recall. And that's when I realized I wasn't being watched anymore. I was being collected. That night I noticed the street was too quiet. No cars, no wind. Even the neighbor's porch light was off, which never happened. I checked my phone. No signal, no Wi-Fi. Just the time blinking like it was struggling to stay alive. Then came the knock, not loud, careful, like whoever was on the other side already knew I was awake. I didn't open the door. I asked who it was. They said my name, not shouted, not guessed, spoken like a confirmation. The lock clicked on its own. My vision went white, then nothing. When I woke up, I was sitting upright in a chair, wrists strapped down, ankles secured. The room was spotless. No windows, no shadows. The lights didn't hum. They didn't make any sound at all. A voice came from the ceiling. You accessed information you weren't cleared to see. I asked how long I'd been there. They said time wasn't relevant anymore. They told me I wasn't being punished. I was being corrected, that my curiosity was expected at this stage, that most subjects reached it eventually. A screen lit up in front of me. Security footage, my house, my street, different days, different angles, versions of me, some entering the house, some leaving, some never coming back. They explained it calmly. When a subject becomes unstable, they don't erase them. They replace them. The neighborhood doesn't notice. Friends don't notice. Even family doesn't notice. Continuity is preserved. That's when I saw the file name flash across the screen. Subject 12, decommission scheduled. I started yelling. The straps tightened. Then something unexpected happened. The lights flickered, just once. Every screen glitched, and for half a second, the footage froze on a single frame. The neighbor's kid, staring directly into the camera, smiling. The voice stopped. The straps loosened. I remembered then. The red watch, not an anchor, not sentimental, a dead man's switch. I'd built it before they ever assigned my memories. A failsafe I didn't even know I was waiting for. I slammed my wrist against the chair until the watch shattered. Alarms exploded through the building. The door unlocked with a sharp crack, like it had been holding its breath. I ran. Hallways blurred together, identical doors, identical signs. Every turn felt like déjà vu, like I'd escaped this place before and failed. I burst out into the night air, lungs burning, hands shaking. By the time the sun came up, I was miles away. I don't know how many of us there are. I don't know how many didn't make it out. But I know this. If you see someone who looks exactly like you, don't assume it's coincidence, because they don't lose subjects. They just let one escape, so they can see what happens next. I stayed off the grid for weeks. No phone, no name, no patterns. Every time I thought I was safe, I'd notice small things. Someone standing too long at a bus stop, a car passing twice, a stranger who already knew my face. Then one night I saw him. Me. Same walk, same scar, same red watch on his wrist, perfectly intact. He didn't chase me. He didn't react. He just smiled, like he was relieved. The next morning, my face was on the news. Not wanted, not missing, featured. The headline read, "Local man returns after mysterious disappearance." The photo wasn't me. It was him. That's when I understood the truth. I was never supposed to escape. I was the variable. They let one copy run free to see how far it could go, how long it would survive, and what it would do once it knew the truth. Somewhere, they're watching this ending too, waiting to see if I disappear quietly, or if I prove them right. Because if I do, I won't be the last one they let escape.